This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everyone. This is going to be a good one as we have two fantastic matches ready for you guys today here at Super Week. It's VCT America. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
They got you an explosion.
Hold on, brother. We're going to try it again. It's Super Week. This is the best day of my freaking life. Hello, everyone. I'm Golden Boy, of course, joined on the desk here. We got Athena, we have Mimi, we have Ender, and we're here to talk about the best dang event in Valorant. It's Super Week.
I love that.
This is too much.
Thus far, every game at Super Week
has been super weak.
Yeah. It's been just stomp after stomp. We've had like two of the fastest days we've ever had in America's back-to-back.
Yeah, well, listen, I was packing for a trip, so I was quite happy about that, okay? Got a little bit of extra time. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what happened yesterday, shall we? We are going to talk about G2 and Furia. Coming into this matchup, we're not going to beat around the bush about it. We knew that this was going to be a tall task for Furia to try and get that dub here. G2 looked immaculate, shut them down with relative ease.
They utterly rinsed them. G2 played a great fundamental game. They punished every mistake and opportunity Furia gave to them, and this was exactly the confident win they needed. What we didn't expect was this second game to follow the same trajectory.
Yeah, the fact that C9 coming off of a heater get absolutely shut down by 100 Thieves. I mean, this first map of Bind, it was 100 Thieves. It's their comfort map. They're looking good. Of course, you know, winning that is no real surprise. It was Ascent where they just wiped the floor. C9 that blew everyone's minds.
Yeah, 100 Thieves looked crazy good. This is the best that I've seen 100 Thieves so far within this whole thing. And safe to say, I think they're one of the better teams going into the Super Week to watch. Oh, what happens?
Is that just going to happen every time?
Yes. Okay. And we're going to forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
we're just having a casual conversation about the week, and then we're like, oh, yeah, you know, you remember back in Super Week? And then I'm sorry. This is the best thing ever. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into our current Alpha and Omega group standings. See where we are right now in case you've been living under a rock and you're unsure. Maybe you watched last season and you're like, oh, man, I really hope Crew turns it around. And then you wake up from your coma, and then you see Crew in first place in the Alpha group. Holy smokes.
Crew's #1, baby, and NRG, who a lot of people thought were the best team, they're down there 1-1. Obviously, they've only played the 2 games, but, like, what is going on here? It's upside down.
Also, Omega struggling. 4 of their teams still yet to get a win on the board. Some more opportunities for that today with MIBR and EG, but neither of those teams are favored today.
Yo, shout out Lev and 100 Thieves doing all the work for Omega Group.
Yeah, they're definitely holding it down, putting the group on their shoulders there. All right, well, coming up, we've got 2 more matches, considering, though, how things have gone during this Super Week. Of course, see whether or not we can get an upset here today. Of course, you got Sentinels going up against Evil Geniuses, and then your last game of the day will be NRG versus MIBR, teams that love acronyms, although one of them actually means something. MIBR.
Energy means energy.
Yeah,
it
energy,
still
means
though.
something.
It's not, I mean,
but it's not an acronym, it's a shortening.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not an acronym, but MIBR is a
Even I'm baking.
shortening.
What's going on?
Now, before, though, we get into our first match of the day, you know how we like to do things. We're going to play a little game to test how well our analysts have been paying attention. It's a game that we call Who Made That Play?
Oh, no.
What's it called?
Who Made That Play? That's right.
Pay attention. Give us time.
So here's how it's going to go.
You've been paying attention.
Yeah.
You're a knower, right?
She's a knower.
I played attention, for sure.
You've been paying attention?
For Super Week.
Oh.
I have been.
The awkward lacking for a second.
She just wanted one. She just wanted one. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We're going to run a clip, and it's going to be heavily redacted. It's going to look like a CIA file. Okay, now, you can't see player names or team logos. You're only going to see gameplay in its purest form. And then we're going to pick who made that play. And chat, good news is you guys get to play along as well. So here's your first one. It's easy difficulty. Who made this play?
It's MK Ultra for sure.
No, this is calm.
Oh.
It's a Sovalt against Sentinels.
Yeah, the comp is right for Leviathan. I think that's going to be a calm on the old Sova there.
Calm on Sova?
Yeah.
I also
Okay.
think it's a multi-kill with a Sovalt. It's got to be calm.
Okay. All right.
My goat.
And survey says, we'll see who it is. It's his.
Oh, look at that.
There
It's
you
just
go.
too easy.
I mean, to be fair.
I remember we asked him a question about this clip
Yeah.
when we interviewed him.
Yeah, it was almost like too easy for us. It should have been a too easy category. All right, let's go ahead and up the difficulty a little bit, shall we? Let's see what we get here. Medium difficulty. Who made this play? Oh.
Okay.
Your options are Melzer, Trent, or Less.
Cool.
Wait, I don't.
I
remember this play. I don't remember who did this.
I remember watching this.
But it's
Seems like you
censored
guys have-
who's it's against this time.
I think that's going to be a
attention.
Melzer.
I think it's a Melzer too.
Yeah.
Melzer, Mimi?
I think it was also I'm also on the Melzer train. I'm
All right.
pretty sure that was.
I'm wearing pink.
We've got a united desk here. You'll love to see
A
it.
united front. Let's see. Who made that play? It was...
Oh,
Wes. You're all trash.
united in being frauds. Oh, the play when they were down 1-10.
Oh,
to
I
get the
probably
second
wasn't
round.
really paying that close attention because it was 10-1. Whoops, my bad.
Well, you know what? You should have. Otherwise, you would have knew who made that play.
That's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game, and then the explosions. All right, well, now, let's see our last clip. And this one's a toughie. Let's see. Who's this? Ooh. It's going to be either Nas or Crashies or Trent.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this was Trent.
Oh, my Trent?
I think
also
this was
think-
an Oh My Trent moment.
Yeah. A certified Oh My Trenter. Yeah. No, I agree.
Just the way you said it.
Because
just
I
kills me.
remember G2.
not
Who
English.
did they play Breeze against?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I think it was Trent.
But I remember Trent having like the pop-off Sova rounds in a series they were
Yeah.
not playing
He's had a
very
lot
well.
of
Yeah.
those.
All right, so Trent.
Trent.
Time to find out who made that play.
Maybe you just convinced me that it's Trent.
And it was
Oh my
Nosworth.
God. No.
Once again,
Oh my God.
you garbage.
I feel like we just all mind controlled each other.
Yeah, I feel
Because
like I got like some sort of.
Because
weird
I said
fear.
Melzer early on in the second one, and then
Yeah.
you're both like, oh yeah, it's Melzer. And then you say Trent. I'm like, oh, it's got to be Trish. She knows what she's
So
talking
I've just
about.
learned you guys are easily influenceable. Like,
Share a singular
yes,
brain
you
cell
have
between the
no backbone.
I believe
okay.
everything I read on the internet.
Yes, okay, it's fair
Did you know
enough.
what Potter said about Sentinels?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, look, guys, let us know. Why don't you go ahead and tweet at us and use that hashtag VALORANT America. What's it? VCT Americas, excuse me. Things are hard. And let us know how many you got right. I'm curious to know what the result is there. But we're going to dive into our first match of the day. You can already see it up here. You got Evil Geniuses versus the Sentinels. Now, EG's coach Potter is usually very quiet on social media, but I did find out today some secret sauce. She's vlogging now.
She's
All right,
vlogging.
she's vlogging now, and I
I mean, I've
may
seen
or
her
may
playing
not be in
table
the vlog.
tennis, but like,
But she posted this and said, never lost to Kaplan, John QT, or Sentinels, and don't plan on starting now. See y'all next week. Hashtag buy EG Bundle 2. Which,
they
you know,
yawn in there as
I
well.
like that one, the yawn.
The
I didn't
extra
even see the
sass.
Okay, I didn't see, where's this coming from? You know,
I mean, it's coming from
coming from
VLR.
history.
Yeah,
from
it's
history.
like the amount of research that we do is check VLR has never lost to these players, and let's talk about it. She just did it because she's a professional analyst too.
True. She
just knows
like
it.
Us, for
She
real,
knows the
for
game.
real.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe we'll get her on. She could maybe get a few more answers right who made that play. But is it cope, though?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I mean,
I've got another tweet. EG haven't won a game this stage. Oh!
Hey, I gotta ask the questions. I'm just
haven't
here.
won a game since their first game of the year. It could
Yeah.
Some weird intimidation tactic, you know, like really trying to get the mental game going.
be you on the Mamba mentality cope, Mirna? Watching your Sigma male TikToks.
All right, well, let's go. And I was going to say, speaking of Sigma males, but I don't know if I want to do that. Well, let's go ahead and hear
You're
what
Sigma
Coach
to me.
Kaplan has to say about Potter's tweet. We're going to send it over to Elizabeth.
Gonna be like,
Kaplan, can I pull you over for a second? A fun question for you. Well, I think it's fun. So this is a tweet from Potter that says, never lost to Kaplan, John QT, or Sentinels, and don't plan on starting now. See y'all next week. Hashtag buy EG Bundle 2. This is, to be clear, this is her as a coach against you. What are your thoughts about this tweet?
The nervous dog always barks first.
Woof.
What does that mean?
Busted out like...
That's crazy. I didn't know Sentinels had Sun Tzu coaching them.
I was gonna say that, dude.
By the way, the reason that Liz specified as coach is that she lost to them as a player against Ghost Gaming. The tweet's not even real.
I love the narratives. This is what we do. We just spin narratives here on the desk. All right. Well, let's dive into Sen here because there's no surprise. Sentinels, you know, they have continued to look good. Even though there have been some bumps in the road, I think everyone can still safely say this is a team, Ender, that's coming into this, you know, a heavy favorite. But on top of that, too, they're playing so dang well, even with a few of those setbacks.
Yeah, I mean, the setback is the Lev game, right?
Exactly.
And then they bounce back immediately. And the question was, like, is that a shake? Is that something off the wall? And I think that was just Lev playing a very solid game. Sentinels had to claw their way back. Even in that series, like in that first map, the fact that they were able to fight back and send it to so many overtimes just reminds me of how much work and how many rounds this team has actually played over the course of the year. This is a team that can actually realize when things are going wrong in the moment and still react to it.
And in that game, they changed a lot. Kaplan was talking about how he thought their Lotus was getting readable. They kind of brought out a lot of new ideas, bringing out the Outlaw and the Op a lot more for TenZ, kind of giving some different variations in the way that they were fighting for A control, more so in the mid round than those opening gambits. This is a team that learns a lot from their losses, and I think applied the learnings from that Lev game to be better.
Yeah, for sure. For me, when I was scared that Sen winning the championship and being that person to watch, that team to watch, they were going to get VOD reviewed like crazy. And I felt like that first game that they did play kind of emulated that, and they realized that they had to be a lot more creative and a lot more assertive with their playstyle and their gameplay. And I feel like that's what really happened. So for me, I feel like Sentinels are kind of back in the groove of things.
Well, I was going to ask as well. It almost feels like that loss was like the best thing that could have happened to Sentinels, right?
This was my cope before that MIBR game. This is going to be the wake-up call. This is the thing to re-motivate them, to remember them, why they put in so many hours.
You're still in a competitive region. Yeah.
Scrimming. And I think that's exactly what, I don't even know if they necessarily needed it, but it certainly didn't hurt, right, to have that bit of a wake-up.
I also just think it's very important when you're playing so many games over the course of the year that you have to reevaluate your maps. Because like you're talking about, you go and win it all. All the other teams want to be the best. They want to be you. They're going to be watching your games not just to beat you, but to understand how you play the game. So you have to have multiple points during the course of a year, resets in the map of what are our priorities and how are our opinions of what's right actually change.
It's a lot harder to learn from winning than it is from losing.
Yeah, that's a big one. And even then, for Sentinels, like, this is a squad that every single time they get pushed to the limit, they just find a way, Myrna, to just get back, to just be better than what they were before. And that is scary for everyone else to have to deal with in this league.
Yeah, for sure. Coming off of a loss, you need to be able to talk to about the criticisms that you have for each other as players, as well as the coach giving the team the ideas. And they've already mentioned that they felt like a lot of their small mistakes were the reasons they were losing rounds. So knowing that it wasn't like a major fundamental issue where like the comms were terrible and this guy is making me annoyed, like, it is easier to come back from that loss. And I feel like Sentinels really pulled it off.
I also think that for a team that is as skilled as Sentinels and has been so successful, like, that's really what you're going to be hearing is working on the small things, you know, making sure those are all tight, because it's probably going to be pretty rare that Sentinels find themselves lost on a map all of a sudden. And it's much more about just keeping focused week in, week out on those little things.
Yeah, the guy who really walked away from that, exemplifying that, I think, was John QT. I talked about those adaptations. That's all off of his calls. He had a great performance individually as well. Kaplan in a tweet said he was given 110% as an IGL, and that's what they need to get these wins.
Most definitely. And we will, of course, hear what Potter has to say, whether or not she's still confident after Kaplan just dropped some proverbs on us.
How do you beat Sun Tzu?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, so you want to do here is rush C, right? Okay, good. Hi, Potter. So you tweeted that, you know, you've never lost to Kaplan as a coach. I asked Kaplan outside what his thoughts were, and he said, the nervous dog barks first. Your response to that?
Well, I said what I said. This is definitely a Sentinels game to lose, and we don't care whether we win or lose right now. The pressure's on them, so I said what I said, Kaplan.
Best of luck. How would you try rushing B? Thoughts?
Okay, so Elizabeth is now assistant to the assistant coach.
And next year, she's going to be coach at 100 Thieves.
Maybe so. And of course, Potter sticking to her guns there. Love to see it, of course. But there is something that there is a smidgen of truth in this, is that the onus is on Sentinels. Because if anything, the pressure isn't necessarily on EG in this situation because, I mean, it will look like a pretty bad black eye on Sentinels if EG were able to pull off something wild today.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be some sort of miracle in my opinion, but I feel like EG definitely has the sort of discipline that a lot of these teams necessarily have, but EG just brings it to another level. Knowing Potter, her emphasis on playing and making sure that they get the reps in and working on their mistakes is something that can pull them out of the dirt, I think, for this one. But again, yes, I think Sentinels has way more to lose than EG.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this, of course, plays out here. But as we move forward this week, we have Clove, who's added to the agent pool, and we were all hoping that we would see maybe, a TenZ pick that you could put on a show with that agent. But instead, we just got another MVP performance from one of the greatest players in the game.
I'm tired of it. Frankly, I want him to stop.
Frankly, this is too much. Stop being amazing.
But he was disgusting against MIBR. He was talking about after that game on Twitter that he feels like he's a scope player again. He's back to his opping days because he was doing it constantly in this game and was dominating, especially on that defensive side of Lotus against MIBR. He was doing a great job of shutting down these players that were kind of walking up in the mid rounds and had an incredible performance as an individual, as you always expect from the guy.
Yeah, as you come to expect, and I think also making Boosty a little jealous, right? The up on the Gecko was paying off, the thing Boosty's always been trying to do. But yeah, no, I think TenZ definitely felt at home with those scopes and something we're going to be seeing more of, especially on the Omen maps.
Yeah, I feel like setting him up for success was one of the big things that Sentinels kind of relied on, and I think he pulled it off perfectly, from role changing, from being this person playing around this controller and having that sort of game sense. I think TenZ really, really pulled it off. Also, he's the GOAT. And also,
Good point.
there was no Ausboss on the other team.
I mean, true. You're not wrong
That's
about
2
that.
for 2.
It's also easy to be excited about Clove because TenZ has been playing them constantly in the ranked games, and it's cool to think about. But really, when he's playing on the Omen, it unlocks so much with the mobility, the way he's using the teleports, getting the verticality, especially when he's opping. He was using that to huge advantage.
So here's the thing, Mimi, is that you don't need to pick Clove if you don't die.
Oh. I mean,
He's spitting.
we've learned
He's spitting.
blood spitting on the
die.
desk. Loved it.
He's not, actually. I'm here.
He really is. All right, well, we already stated this before, but it will be a tall task for Evil Geniuses to make it to playoffs and to Shanghai. But it's not as if Sentinels have everything all locked up here. You can see the rest of their schedule. And look, I'll be honest with you, when you kind of break it down here, there is a good pathway for Sentinels, 100%. If anything, that loud game could very well be a bump in the road, another bump in the road for the Sentinels team to overcome, potentially.
Sure, but their 2 hardest games were week 1 and 2. They have that out of the way. They got that loss from Lev, and they can learn from that for the rest of the season. They are so heavily favored in the game against EG and Furia. It is like upset of the century if they lose either of those
None
matches.
of their remaining teams have won. Like,
Which on paper loud should be scary, but they haven't really found their form yet.
That's true, but it's Sadok, so you just never know when that team is going to come up with something wild.
And now you're spitting.
When Les is going to Les is going to pop off. You
But
know,
even if they lose that, they should still make playoffs off these other 2 games.
True, exactly. So there, like you said, it's not 100% locked up, but when you look at that schedule, you got to feel pretty good for the Sentinels. But on the other side to that, we have Evil Geniuses who really did struggle to feel like they had like an impact at all in that game against Crew. It was actually quite disheartening to see.
Yeah, I feel like for me watching them, I felt like originally when I saw that the run that they had to go through, I thought, wow, this is going to be hard. But if they pull through at least the first 2 games, they might be able to have that momentum going through to it. But they didn't. I didn't see them perform at all the way that I expected them to.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games for EG, they haven't had a player who's really standing out, who's popping off, who's doing much for the squad.
Which is a huge departure because the
Yes.
first 2 weeks you had those standouts.
Yes, you did. And that's the difference here for EG. I think they still had solid ideas on the macro, on Lotus in particular. I think they did a good job of getting themselves into winning positions. It was nice calling by nature, but they kept choking away these late rounds time after time, and that lost them the match.
I see these 5 players here, and there's so much talent across the board on this team. So it should be working, but at some point you got to ask the question, what is going on in the EG camp, right?
And that's the crazy thing is because I felt like they know what's going wrong. Every single time we talked to Potter after that first game, she's like, yeah, you know, we threw away numbers advantages or we were losing too many opening fights. Like, she has very clear ideas of what's going wrong, but we're not seeing them really improve week over week.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've talked about Potter a lot because I know how the coaching style is, and I feel like they always play to get those reps in, to fix small mistakes. So at a certain point, you know, every time you fix a mistake, there's a new one coming up. Like, surely there has to be some sort of
It's like being a game designer. You fix one bug and like 5 more pop up.
But it's such kind of classic EG, right? I think back to before they went on their run and became champions, their 2022, their 2021 seasons, where they always had really good macro ideas. They were in place on the meta. The mid-rounding seemed solid, but the execution failed at the end. Players were giving away advantages. People weren't having the firepower they needed to have in matches, and it feels like we've receded back to that again with this 2024 roster.
Yeah, which is very disheartening to see. But again, I just am not one of those people that will ever count out what this team is capable of.
But if they lose today, they are out.
And that is true, and that is very, very true.
They only have 2 games left in their season.
Yeah.
If they lose today, there is 0% chance of making playoffs.
Yep.
And already, it's incredibly low. This is already a team who I think is trying to take these learnings and look ahead to stage 2.
Yeah, which, you know, is probably going to be the smart move for them here. But let's go ahead and hear what Coach Potter has to say about the team's issues after that Map 1 loss against Crew.
Liz here with Potter from EG. Now, Derek talked to me before the game about those slow starts that you wanted to work on. Talk to me about what happened today, and did the work out?
It did not. It definitely did not. We got bullied around in there for sure. But I think for us, the good news is that we know what kind of advantages we had. You know, the pistol round to that first gun round on that defense, it did crumble. But again, 5 versus 3 scenarios for us once again. So coming on to Breeze, we're going to have that attack side start. So hopefully that sort of gives us a little bit of cushion to where we can control the pace and have a better start.
Well, best of luck, Map 2.
Thank you.
This goes right back to what we were just talking about before we watched that interview, Myrna, and they know what the problem is, but they keep on letting those advantages slip from their fingertips. That is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. When you have something where it's like you're always up in 5v3 situations, ideally, it's an easy fix. So I feel like for EG, if they actually genuinely know the problems that they have and they have been able to address it, I really don't think they should have a problem with their fundamentals. I do think there is a slight, little tiny problem when it comes to the firepower that they have. But if they fix all these fundamentals first, I think they have a really great foundation to go back to.
Again, this is a story we've seen before with a team like this. It has good ideas, and then the fundamentals are the crux of it. And I think we've seen that in their earlier games, but the Crew game was really the pinnacle of that one, right? Losing all of these advantages. It felt like half the rounds they were up 5v3, 4v3. Say any combination of numbers where EG is up, and one player was swinging it. People were caught off guard. I think of Lotus, where they're playing their post plants all tucked away towards tree, off-site, and just one player is swinging them. They're not set up to trade. Mistakes like these are losing matches game after game for EG.
Yeah, it is certainly something that they need to clean up. Now, rather than just continue to tell you, why don't we go ahead and show you with some endermication? It's like my plan, edumacation. We got Ender over at the telestrator for us. What you got, buddy?
Right. Well, I'm going to focus in on a round where EG find themselves in a big advantage and end up throwing it away by separating really across the map. And coming off the interview where Potter talked about throwing those numbers advantages, I think this is going to be a round that EG will have looked at and talked heavily about coming into today. So, EG, we've got them over on the defense to start things up. Crew have come into this A main space with EG playing a pretty heavy stall look, right? They're Cypher and their Viper on this side of the map, so they're giving up this space pretty easily for the time being. And really where EG thrive is with their reactions in the mid-round, especially on this B site. If you can see the repositions over on this side of the map, their fade has moved in towards Baby Door, and also the Omen has stepped up towards switch on front B. If this hit ends up coming into a split onto the B site, we can open the door, paranoia through, and also have a ton of resistance put up in that baby door area from Derek. And what do you know? Derek over here gets 2 fantastic kills and will eventually be traded out, but that puts EG in a great position. It goes deeper than that though, because off of this tripwire breaking, we're also then going to open the door and have Supermen come into the back here, paranoia, and grab that kill. So, EG, they find themselves in a 4-on-2 with great control over the map. But here's where it goes wrong, and this is where I want to talk about a concept called shrinking the map. When you have a numbers advantage, you never want to be taking individual fights or worse than 50-50 fights. So when you have a 4v2 like this, oh, I'm opening up the matrix right here. When you have, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about that right now. Go away. This is tough. There we go. We figured it out. Right, so right now, even though it's a 4v2, if we actually open up the minimap for the time being, EG are spread apart. They've got one isolated player, and 2 players over on the site here. When you have an advantage like this, you would love to be able to shrink and group back together, you know, maybe meet up in a central area and play out the rest of the map. The problem comes, though, because EG have bad information. I think they believe that 2 players have made it into baby door, so they call to pinch out into this area. But, as you would know, they actually are just stepping out into nothing. And these are their stall site, right? You've got Cypher trips on the site. You're falling in this area, which absolutely cannot happen. You have to be able to shrink and avoid taking this 2v2. It's a 4v2, but it's really a 2v2. So things go to bad to worse now from EG because they actually have the option to group back up together here, right? We open the door, we can group up and play 2-on-2 on the site, maybe try to retake while the spike is planting, turning it into a 2-on-1, but instead they separate. Check that out. Superman's going all the way around into main, and Melzer takes this timing looking back into spawn where he knocks down the Rays. That's a bad place to be in now for EG. It's now a 1-on-2, and you actually see Crew play it very nicely from here on out, right? You might say, well, they're not shrinking. They've got 2 players, and they're kind of separated from one another. But that's actually not true, because right now, with this smoke blocking off that area, there's only 3 actual ways for players to come into the site. The first is through door, in which case they can fall back and play together, 2-on-1. The other option is right through this smoke, but in that case, we have a 90-degree crossfire, and it's going to be great. And it's highly unlikely anyone comes back here because, well, if Supa was going back there, he would have been there with the Rays way long ago. So Crew really do a good job of playing out in this post plant, and EG, they do not. They lose on their numbers advantage multiple different times in that one, and it ends up costing them the round. This happened multiple times over that game, and they're going to have to do a much better job of it today. Now, let's send it over to our coaches and head into map select.
Alright guys, welcome. As you know, teams were decided via coin flip. Sentinels will be team A and EG will be team B. So Sentinels, you have first map ban.
Ban Breeze.
Sentinels ban Breeze.
Ban Split.
EG ban Split. What map would you like?
Pick Lotus.
Sentinels pick Lotus. And would you like attack or defense?
Attack.
EG select attack. And what map would you like?
Bind.
EG select bind. And would you like attack or defense?
Attack.
Sentinels select attack. And you have 1 map ban.
Ban Ascent.
Sentinels ban Ascent. And what would you like to ban?
Ban Icebox.
EG ban Icebox. Decider map will be Sunset. And Sentinels, you have attack or defense?
Attack.
Sentinels select attack. All right, best of luck today.
Thanks. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, so we got our maps. We know where we're going. Great breakdown, by the way. Mimi, what do you feel regarding these maps for EG, let's just say?
I'm seeing 3 Rays maps in the pool, and
Okay.
I'm seeing a Jojmo who has had the worst performances I've ever seen from the guy. He was an all-star last year. There's a reason he was one of the top 3 in the conversation for best Rays players in the world. We need to see so much more from him today if this is going to be a close game. And honestly, it's got to be so tough for the guy to remotivate yourself, right? You're on top of the world. All the rest of your teammates go off, find different teams. You're left alone, having to rebuild and go again from the start. But I think he really needs to find a way to remotivate himself and re-find his form.
Yeah, especially on a map like Lotus, where Raze is almost essential for your map control on defense and on the attack side. Like, you need to be able to have that composure in order to get that space, as well as have that fragging power behind it. And I feel like it was, like you said, really rough to watch.
Yeah, well, okay, guys, here we are. We only got a minute left here. Let's maybe do a little prediction, you know? I mean, I'm assuming I know where everyone's going. Ender, we'll start with you.
I'm going hot here, and I'm going to say 2-0 for Sentinels.
Whoa.
I love the little click, just... Yep.
You know? I mean, Sentinels is incredibly favored to win this one. They just had a very confident win coming up against MIBR. They're going on to Lotus, where they retooled a lot of their ideas, particularly about how TenZ was playing around the op, how they're re-clearing space in the mid-round. It was a John QT masterclass. I honestly expect the same today. EG just doesn't look up to snuff to compete with Sen right now.
Okay, I feel like EG learned from their mistakes, especially on Lotus, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I still think it's going to be a 2 for Sentinels, but 2-1.
Okay. Oh, you're giving...
I'll give them a map.
Wow.
I just want to see an EG that
Look.
doesn't throw rounds with numbers advantage. I want to see them play clean
but
Valorant
that's
on
easy
that.
to fix, right?
I hope so.
All right, well, you heard from our analyst. Let's go ahead and get day 4 of Super Week started. Yeah, baby. Sentinels versus EG, NRG versus MIBR. VCT Americas starts right now.
Thankfully, here Saucy stays behind. Here's the footsteps. There's that first lineup for the second kill. Easily done there for Sentinels.
Advantage picked up for Cloud9. They're going to excel into this B site now. APOD had a rifle.
Player for player, our roster really outclasses theirs, to be blunt, but they're obviously a really sharp team. Potter's obviously a very brilliant coach, especially when it comes to things like anti-stratting.
He can look for his timing, but now fully aware of Superman trades out from Boba, the last player to plant the spike, but you are not long for this world, buddy. EG dominates C9.
We have a lot of history, Sentinels, John QT, and Kaplan. We've faced off versus them in a lot of do-or-die scenarios, actually. So for us, that's kind of how we're looking at it.
Post-plant, though, TenZ can play this position. He just needs to isolate these fights.
A lot of it's going to be about ourselves. Can we show up, make sure we're not just autopiloting, playing the exact same way we play in every other game, making sure we keep them on their toes.
We have history of being able to constantly work through whatever hurdles we have, and Sentinels is our next one.
Riot Games Arena, it's Sentinels Bundle. You know what? Potter said it, so I'll say it too. Hashtag buy EG Bundle 2.
EG knows that this is going to be a difficult task for them to accomplish, but on the other side, you have the Sentinels who have been there and done that. This is a squad that looks ready for the prime time. But for EG on the other side, they have an opportunity here to upset the world, Ender, and maybe even pull off something magnificent.
Look, I don't want to oversell you, but EG, they looked like they were having a good time when I passed them in the halls this morning. They were keeping it light, smiles on their
Spirits are
face.
high.
They're coming in. I think they're playing loose.
Yeah, they only have 2 games left in the season. Making playoffs is unlikely. I think they really need to just focus on improving, playing as close as you can. Last week was a tragedy. Way too many advantages let slip away. If those same mistakes are happening here, Sentinels is going to destroy them.
Look at them. They're still having fun up there.
I mean, we heard Kaplan talk about how Potter is just so good at anti-stratting, and we've heard about her ways of making sure the team gets the reps and the team works on those fundamentals. So as long as they play their game, I'm sure it'll be close.
Yeah, and you know, Coach Kaplan in the piece beforehand had even mentioned that they're not going to come into this, you know, playing like their standard. They don't want to approach every game like that. That is the right way to do this, honestly. You can't treat every opponent like, you know, oh yeah, we're going to walk all over them. You can't do that, especially non-Americans.
Absolutely. I mean, Sentinels have definitely learned that. They already had a loss this season.
Experienced it.
And they came back so much stronger off of that one. I know that this is a team who is going to respect everyone, as we should with EG. The players on this team, we've seen greatness before. It's not working yet, but it's a project and it takes time.
Yeah, and honestly, like in terms of first map here, I think EG are going to be very happy with getting Lotus into the mix, all things considered. Even though they have had losses on the map, this is a map where I think we've seen APOS lurks really shine through. Nature defensively has looked strong. I think their macro generally good as well. It's weird because I usually have positive things to say about like some of the bigger decisions EG make, but it's the mid rounds when the rounds get dirty where things do start to slip away, and that's where we want to see that improvement.
Yeah, they're certainly going to have to clean those points up. As you had mentioned before in that telestrator, right? Like all of those advantages that they were able to get in that crew matchup, and they gave it away so many times.
And look, Potter said it, you know, like EG are going to be on watch when they have numbers.
Yeah.
Like Potter's not going to let any round slip away.
The question is, though, is that if they do have numbers in that instance and the same situation still happen again,
Then you have the cope that it's against the best team in the world.
That's perfectly fair.
That's decent cope.
It is a good cope.
I like what you're selling.
I mean, I'm going to add some more copium. I think EG does a great job at playing to win versus playing not to lose, because even though they are in those situations where they're so clearly about to win the round, they still aren't scared to be aggressive and play the way that they normally play. Yes, it doesn't go well a lot of the time. However, copium, they can still be aggressive.
I disagree with you somewhat here. On their Lotus against Crew in particular, once they started losing those advantages, I saw them really start to, especially on their attack sides, shelter down, play full off-site and post, tuck in together while not actually being set up to trade each other. I want to actually see more of that proactivity, more of them not necessarily taking risks, but not playing scared if they're going to have a close game.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with you, and I think that that's why if EG goes back to their fundamentals, they have a lot higher of a chance coming into this.
We don't expect really any surprises in Agent Select. This has been a pretty secure map. The one thing is that EG plays the Cypher here, where APOP has been great, especially on those lurks.
Yeah, especially like being able to use the cages to help him scale up front B in particular is something that he does look good at. And then on defense too, it sort of changes how you have to play your way into a site as well. I think attacking teams need to do a better job of like scouting out if there's any early aggressive cameras, and Sentinels of course are going to be primed and ready for that.
Yeah, I want to highlight on the other side the Sentinel who is Zelsis. He had a great match last week.
There's 5 of them.
Yeah, well, the one guy who's the Sentinel player on
Sentinel squared.
Ooh, he was great. They were doing an excellent job at taking a main control on their defensive side and constantly pressing MIBR to feel force into these late round C hits where they were getting destroyed by John and Zelsis.
And where I get concerned for EG is that, you know, they were able to do that against MIBR, a team that we do hold in some pretty, you know, we're optimistic about holding some decent
I think
regard.
they're in a similar position to EG.
And that's what I was saying. Yeah, so that's why I feel like I'm a little worried about EG in this particular instance because of exactly as you had mentioned.
I mean, the one thing that I really do like about the Cypher is being able to set up all your Utah on one site and also still being able to rotate away. And I feel like they can try to do so many more fake outs versus Sentinels.
And look, this is all fine and dandy, but we need to see the beast released. We need to get Jogamo back in the server and show up for Evil Genius.
And if he does that, who knows what's possible? They want a world champion off the plays that he was making. Let's see what ends up happening here. We're ready for map 1. So let's go ahead and send it over to your casters who have never, ever, ever been wrong about a prediction, ever. It's Brennan Sideshow.
That's facts right there. That's facts.
That
I mean,
is.
never been wrong at all about any of these spreads. There's been a lot of trash talk, you know, swirling and circling around this match here, Josh.
I like it.
I mean, Potter as well, talking, you know, all that smack about the never lost to John QT, never lost to Kaplan, not going to start. Now, as a coach, as a coach.
I'll tell you what, I was taking a look. I don't want to leak anything, but I was taking a look at the lobby chat between these two teams.
Okay.
And Derek did say to the Sentinels players, I'll use the Sen Classic for 5 gifted.
Oh, okay.
So, listen, when we jump in, I'm going to need a little Derek check here to see what weapon he's using to open things up.
What is he using? He's going to go to him, he's going to be buying the Ghost or something.
Because I don't know whether Sentinels approved that in the marketing budget.
Where is it?
Where is it?
He's got a knife out. Is this Derek PV? Yeah, it is! It's a Sen Classic!
Find you.
5 gifted, straight to the account.
Oh,
And this is a
Derek's getting
team
something
push.
out
I
of it.
mean, he's being squeezed here. Isolated on an island early on. He's been actually, given a bit of a respite as EG react now into the A site. But there's a fast play from the rest of Sentinels here, making sure the Snakebite goes out flying here for John QT to delay.
Zels has taken a little bit of space up towards front B. He's going to be in a position to hear anybody that would be running, pathing back towards C. So Zels is going to be getting nice info and can tell the rest of his team to force that A.
There's a lot of noise being made. Holding for the paranoia. All the angles watched for. Second Prowler now going to be used with the smoke propped up. Zekken absolutely decimates Nature. Good night. Nade rebounding. Now Apoff did find that kill into the front section of B main. Allows them to pivot into the B side if they so wish. Only have to really contest and tangle with one more player. That's up in heaven. That's going to be Sassy.
30 seconds.
He's going to be feeling that heat now with a satchel through. Breakneck pace. Be able to get that plant down.
Both fades using the C's. Does Sentinels have enough utility to get back through this area that Derek's watching?
Risky angle to be taken out fight at. So
the Sen Classic, it won't betray its master.
It really won't. It truly will not. But how do they clear Superman? He's tugged onto that 90-degree angle, but wants to take the fight to them anyway with the right clicks. Okay, why not? Straight forward, John QT. Eventually going down here. Left clicks doing enough work here for a 1 versus 1. Sassy, the tap. The camera taken out. Just the confirmation that Sassy now actually sticking and missing onto the cam. Sassy! Not going to be able to get it all the way. That's EG taking the first pistol round here in our series.
Great round from Apoff. What a start for EG there. I was highlighting the fact that Zelsis had got himself into a good macro position, and Apoff lurks his way up B while the rest of the team is doing this kind of pause play. And this is the kill here that turns the round for EG. Yes, it's a 4v4, but because Sen had gone for such a stack on A, it gave them access to the B site and allowed them to complete this post. And actually, the way that Sen are defending B was one of the biggest changes that I noticed between their Lotus previously, when Kaplan was saying it was a bit predictable on defense, and what they were doing now. Now, of course, they were also doing a lot of these mound contests on defense. Something we pointed out the last time we were casting the Sen game is that they weren't really coming up against a team that was using that more meta Omen smoke that you'll see the attackers throw kind of to the left of this first choke point that Jorg's at.
Something smells up here for EG.
Yeah, for sure.
They've sniffed it out.
They're just slowly making their way in towards A here. It doesn't look like there's too much danger.
Celsius using the wall to reposition. Goes up. Close. Weaving in and out. He's got himself one, but surely not any more than that. It's not going to be cleaned up, though. He's really still staying alive, and they haven't cleaned him up. Eventually, though, through the box, damage being done with the guns, and Superman making sure that he contains that flank.
Nice cleanup. A few confidence kills for Jorg as well, who I would absolutely agree with the desk, has got to be the X factor for EG. Yep. Of course he does. He's the player that they retained from that championship winning roster. And it's not like Jorg was just some supportive element, like somebody getting carried throughout that champs run.
Oh, he's the tip of the spear.
Yeah, he was going in there on a lot of the maps, especially all the ones where he was playing Raze, and Demon 1 ended up being on smokes. And he was opening things up for that team. He was on fire in their big games, and it has been a slump recently for Jorg. Not over a long period of time, nothing that he can't shake off, but just something you don't want to make a pattern of, for sure.
Just the recent appearances. But for now, with all those early kills going his way, one away now from the showstopper. Big ultimate to get online.
Yeah, it's the perfect beginning.
But this is JohnQT seeking to punish it. Look at this. Off the orb tap. Just off for that noise. Sending a few stray bullets out, along with a snake bite.
There's a little bit of damage done there. Zelsis is now getting into the smoke.
Off the mark, though. That's the second snake bite now going to be used. The paranoia will clear JohnQT out of there. Respect this one. Tree control going to be lost for them. Now the showstopper. From that orb, he's missing that.
Did he not see?
Potentially an easy kill onto Zelsis, but he is going to be eventually brought down and toppled. Still holding until the end of the fuse. Rebounding. JohnQT will fall. 3 now left to stand here for Sentinels to make a good go of things, and TenZ is only just rotating his way over towards the site.
This is a phenomenal opening for EG, but another 5v3 that they cannot afford to lose. Lighter weapons, but they have to convert rounds like this.
The advantages have been letting slip. Jorgamo, low on HP, might choose to take a timing right through this smoke. Second with the nade. Clearing out through, but right from behind, it's Jorgamo who strikes. Forward second, overwhelmed from every possible position there. So 3 in a row now for EG. Very, very strong position. And start for them. I mean, converting the bonus round, best as you can really hope for.
Yeah, that's an excellent beginning. Loading all of those kills early onto Jorgamo, you see what difference it makes. Yes, he does catch a glimpse. At least if Jorg wasn't paying attention, that will have come up on radar. And,
enemy remaining.
you know, influence the fact that Zelsis ended up going down. On top of that, Jorg also gets the kill. Kaplan's not happy about it. Sen found it difficult to wake up in a couple of games ago.
Yeah,
playing the Lotus game against Leviathan.
It felt like in the MIBR match that fire was reignited. You know, the team definitely wanted to win.
But to be honest with you, I feel like they've been playing fairly well so far in this game. It's only 3 rounds in. But the way that they played there on the bonus, they still had a lot of good ideas. They knew to try to deny the orb from Jorg. They were spamming it. They didn't get the kill.
A critical punish.
It makes such a difference if this guy is on.
Orb wide. So you're going to take the fight Jay straight through B main after losing control of this one. A-Pop cleaning up straggler that is TenZ. And yeah, it does make, massive difference to Jorgamo just playing lights out. That championship form that we know that, he's been at the peak of before. Hasn't quite delivered up to it. Again, my mind's kind of circling back to the beginning of this. Liz is doing all the interviews with Potter. And Potter was saying that it's Sentinels that are going to be feeling all the pressure in this.
Spike planted.
Win or lose, she said, we don't care. We don't care, win or lose, which is honestly a crazy statement to make. But with the position that they're at in terms of their table, in their group, in stage 1, it's got to that point, right, where, it feels like playoffs is a bit of a distant dream for this team.
Yes, EG are 0-3 playing against the Masters Madrid winners. They should be considered underdogs, even if you live and breathe evil geniuses. You got to admit it. But that doesn't mean they can't win or put up a fight and put the pressure onto Sen. And as for pressure, Sen's not a lock, having lost 1 game so far already. And another match up against Loud, which you never know what kind of Loud you're going to get. Maybe Loud could end up being really good at that point. Sen still need some of these wins to feel comfortable about their position, and also getting top seed in groups and stuff like that ends up being really important. Every game is worth a point. Yeah. These kind of things, they're going to add up. You can't let winnable games like this slip away from you.
And Sen are in quite a competitive group themselves, to be honest. Almost all the teams are really overperforming, exceeding that minimum 2-win threshold.
Very true.
It's an unusual format for them, but here we go. Some guns in the hands of the defensive players that are Sentinels to see if they can fight back and bounce back.
And I just want to point out, look at that, 2 away already from another showstopper from Jorg. Sen looking to try to dominate the A ult orb, and EG have brought it towards B.
Here we go, Paranoia actually missing that, but well, getting his sight. And Gun locked onto the angle. Sassy, no match for it. Hearing that reload as well. They're just guns out, wading right into them. This is pure aggression on display. The Sentinels left reeling here. TenZ in a 1v3. Spike being dropped down for him. Only one thing really to work for, and it's going to be face doubled up, isolating into the 1v1. 4 bullets left. Tag still in and revealed entirely. He's dodging, he's dancing. Tip top of the toes. The snake bite narrowly avoided one single bullet. The reload. Call a pause into the round. Anything you like, really, at this point, Nature just mans up, finds the minerals to just take it to him.
I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't
my
very
God.
worried that EG were about to throw that one away. We were talking so much about EG closing out those rounds where they have a massive player advantage. The strat was amazing. Jorg goes in, looking fantastic. They carry on the aggression in the waterfall.
One enemy remaining.
And then TenZ almost ripped it away from them. Composure from Nature towards the end. TenZ had many different ways of playing that too. He had teleports and ults that he could have tried to work with, but he was so confident in his aim. And Nature ended up edging him out. Jorg is currently 12-2 and didn't even have to use his ultimate. He's up to his second ult. Could have used it in the prior round, but didn't need to and had already got so deep on that B hit. And Sen have been, I think, struggling a little bit with that B exec, or rather dealing with the B defense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that just play B purely for retake. Cloud9 actually looked phenomenal with their flood retakes of B. But Sen are worried about leaving it open for lurkers to get through in the mid round, I think. You saw that against MIBR. MIBR were trying to walk through the Viper wall in B and get good timings onto Sen. So they've posted up Sassy or somebody there to watch for that. And he just couldn't hold on. He was backpedaling against the utility and Jorg got a favored fight, spraying Sassy, who was reeling through a smoke.
And what a turnaround for Jorg. I mean, that's kind of highlighting as well that this guy has just been slumping recently. The fact that he turned up this next ult. Round 6 now. Timeout taken. On the other side of things here for Sentinels, you have to see a turnaround.
Okay, so they're playing this trap player here. If Apoth comes towards B, it's going to be a Prowler in his face and Zekken ulting to try to get a kill. This has worked against EG before, many times. Apoth has fallen to this fairly often. And now as it gets to about 120 on the clock, Sen are like, okay, we can't still commit 3 bodies to B. We're going to have to try to force the fight and then back.
Yeah.
So now Apoth filling in this space as Sen look to spread out elsewhere. But EG, with Nature, are just kind of drifting into the right spots here. This is such a large hole in the defense right now over towards A. With everybody on Sen gambling that it would be a C hit.
JohnQT knows it. Look at his position. I mean, he has to hold essentially the 2 avenues and give up A entirely with the door opening. It's going to be a big indicator. Prowler getting broken though. They know that somebody's lurking.
Yeah, but as soon as
how many.
As soon as the plant goes down here, they're going to get a good idea that it's only Apoth.
Yeah.
EG love doing these 4-1 defaults. It's not normal that Apoth has somebody with him. I think at this point, Sen are going to have a good visualization of where people are, but that's less than half the battle.
I'm playing this post plant. Holt's still online here for a second. He's going to be using this one to try and pave the way for the rest of his team to get into this site now. Through the back with the smokes. Cutting up these appropriate angles. Paranoia on top of it. Now being offloaded and let rip. But it's a rocket for a rocket and a kill for a kill. Drawing blood! Jorgamo! How are you doing that? Ripping away the hopes and dreams of Sentinel. Second, again, last one left in time. Far too short to make anything of the round. It's a 6 on the board for EG. They are running over them.
Sen fans must be in shambles. They've watched Aspas set records against them, and then Jorg suddenly decided to wake up to put on this performance against them too. Zekken does what he can here, but this play from Jorg. What is that? It's so nice to deny the trade. I saw your secret. And that level of constant middle of a team fight impact kills. And he's so locked in.
Where are?
There's an early kill that does go the way of Sen.
Opening pick off a rubble fight. EG have not been committing to these. The first time they do, get caught by it a little. And this is where the ult cycle starts to stack way more in favor of Sen. EG have been building those up unreal quick on Jorg. But now Sen have some of their own. They've used Zekkens to get back into the retake, and Zelsis one away.
Bit of a breather for them. Zelsis is in a bit of a one and done.
Yeah, very committed position here. Without utility to play off, but he's got TenZ Paranoia to support.
Still in a dangerous spot. All things considered, sees nade towards the back pillar. Haunt in and through, smoke fading.
Excellent support from TenZ. Breaks the Haunt and able to throw the Paranoia. Might have been John actually breaking the Haunt from Waterfall. But either way, Zels is supported in that spot.
One of the first rounds where EG looking a little bit lost in terms of which direction to land in, because they don't have a control. Apox seeking to take the fight and actually ends up taking out Zekken.
Not many people are doing that to Zekken.
There's the confidence though, and that neural theft gives Jorgamo a good indication that Sassy is repositioning up towards heaven. Couple of stray shots though from the vulnerability.
EG
down low.
EG are finding this route towards towards A in the late round so often.
Right, full even committed here from Derek. I mean, that's not going to be getting too many tags, but Sassy going to be using one of his own. Let's give the peace of mind here. Apof could choose to play in a more forward angle, but it all comes onto a knife's edge of how these fights end up being taken. One bullet left, has to commit the reload. He will be falling at least. Should be no way! Apof has get away with bloody murder. And for Sentinels, it's all falling to pieces.
That's it. That's the round done. Apof's destroyed Zekken to give them an entry into A, and then to somehow manage to pull out another 2 in that spot.
You are joking.
He's on for the ace.
These guns, he is.
I mean, he might die to the turret.
He's not careful. Breaking it, hunting it, smelling it out. Okay, Zelsis puts a stop to it, but still won't be able to keep that gun kicking into the next. This is 7 rounds in a row. Economy flourishing, the ideas are good. Out.
We have had some absolute rolls this week. And I was looking at this on paper, Bren.
On paper.
And I'm thinking, again, Madrid winners. One of the favorites for being the top teams in Americas against a team that's currently 0-3. Doesn't look like they have the right amount of firepower. We might be in for a roll again today, Bren. And it's exactly the other direction.
The opposite direction.
What is Valorant?
You can't predict it. You can't predict it. Don't try and make sense of it.
Jorg and Apof, though, are just... Apof, especially in that round, just taking turns to dominate their opponents.
Heavy stack, though, with 3 of these players, including the close quarter angles. Near sighted up, and they are evening out these fights with these pistols.
That's a nice snake bite as well to give them an opportunity to go for a play like that. They should have all of that information. They heard 2 players running away there, Zekken and Sassy. They should know that TenZ was over towards C. So EG are now going to have a really good idea of where people are on the map. Opening the door to allow the spike to reconnect on B. Like I said, they know that Zekken and Sassy ran away to fill that gap over on A.
Trouble is as well, they're too worried to grab these guns. I think TenZ is considering it. He wants a rifle. It's been dropped down out towards sand. He realizes now it's been cleared, takes that risk for them, and he's gonna be able to relink now and apply that pressure by opening this door.
Usually when he opens the door, though, he has a paranoia to work with. Not this time.
This time, just raw aim and firepower. It's going to persevere for him, but everybody drops and topples 1v1 again. TenZ finalizes the fight and puts that round on the board. Sorely needed for a team like Sentinels. You can feel it.
Thrifty.
The tension in the air. There's no celebrations. There's no cheers from the Sen side. Everybody's locked in.
Honestly, I'm amazed that that refight works as well as it does with the lighter weaponry. But you saw as well Zelsis popping off motor mouth at the end of the round.
Oh, yeah.
He's not just going to be trying to give them, you know, the spirit to go for this game, but I think he's probably going to be talking about going for, like, re-clears around the map or something like that. It's clear that EG have a good understanding of the fact that they can get these late round executes towards A, and they're not getting Apof punished by going for 2 aggressive lurks. This time, making it feel like it's only Apof B and looking to try to punish Sassy. Again, Jorg, he's in.
It's all the way in. I mean, Sassy just can't really hold that one back. Not from the position he was in, but no casualties yet. Will be the...
But this time, Brent, all of Sen set to flood defense. This is nowhere near like what it was last time.
Trying to fight their way into this one. I mean, it's a lockdown committed. The defender's side, and they're actually just trying to evacuate out of this one here, but it's going to be pushed forward to the fight taken by EG right from behind. It's the backstabber, Zelsis. Does claim 2. 1 player detained. There's definite chances here still for Sentinels in a 2 versus 3. Jorg forward, but running and gunning. Zelsis Gives him the old fade away. 2 versus 2 now. Cam, broken. Unaware of where these players are, but eventually the Phantom with a spray down of John QT. To get that dirty work done.
And all that despite the fact that Jorg picked up 3.
Yeah.
His stat line's going to be absurd. Just getting 1 purely based off timing, expecting someone to follow up. Lovely shots, and Sen had it all to do. Zelsis did a phenomenal job. But this time, the macro element from Sen did recognize that. They didn't allow Sassy to get punished at the start of the round defending B, despite what EG were doing there. And then the whole of Sen set up the Flood retake and did a great job getting in, even though Nature used Pit. That you have to be very decisive to get through a pit quickly enough to still get on top of that post plant team.
I think that's what I've noticed, I think, from Sen on the other end of their timeout, is that they are just increasing the tempo. Making sure that they make those decisions a lot faster.
Yeah, I think they can outpace EG, and usually I would say they can out-aim EG too. But when Jorg is 18-5 and Apot's 11-4, that's a strength you maybe can't rely on today, or at least not right now.
He's earned himself another ult. I mean, it's the 3rd showstopper he's got.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, yeah, sometimes people are getting showstoppers if they're like farming every orb and getting every plant, and then it's like round 12, oh, I have my 3rd ult. It's round 10. He's been annihilating people, and he's been able to use them to get space for his team every time.
EG feeling pressured enough, at least to take this time out now, realizing that they can't let this advantage slip that's for them. Sen could still make this a very respectable half.
This is an A rubble fight here, but not a super heavy committed one from Sentinels. They don't have enough people to go blow for blow with this, but they do have showstoppers on either side. So
Second's ult could make the difference here. Same could be said for Jorgamo. See how they end up taking it. Onto the boom bot, a slight reveal. Second not fast enough onto the line to be able to get that early kill. Sending it flying with a seized nade.
I like that.
That's nice. A bit delayed, seeking to punish Nature, who's usually playing up.
It doesn't find anything, but Sen have managed to get posted on the other side. And there's TenZ with his op. He said he was enjoying playing with it recently. It's been so difficult for Sen to build up the economy to get it into his hands this game.
Yeah.
But there it is. There's the value. That's the smoke we've been talking about as well. It's so cool. Sinks into the ground a little bit so that people can still support you from behind.
Make sure they can take those fights, but no fights necessary. Not when TenZ gets that opening pick.
Yeah, and Sen are now re-exploring over towards A, confidently re-clearing these areas, something they weren't doing as much in the first, what, 6 or 7 rounds?
Side by side now.
I think that this is still going to come down to the results, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, Jorgamo and Zekken are right there waiting. Satchels plays, Rocket offloaded! The ult, pinpoint accuracy onto Sassy, but they haven't cleared these players close, and now Zekken. Could be his time to strike. Fight to be taken, but he's paying the rest of his team, and he's really just biding his time and waiting it out. Still alive. April has left up into heaven. Jorgamo! My goodness, how are you getting away with this? And Zekken forced to unleash it at least, but let loose of the Rocket a little bit too early there. More than he was hoping for, and will try and take the fight. He satchels forwards with a 1v2, doubled up, 3 bullets left. Backs away for the reload, and the plant is not good for these players still. Got to think the advantage is here for EG, surely. TP, fake out, there's the trade.
There's so much chaos in that round.
Yeah.
Jorg commits with his ult and doesn't get to clear the left-hand corner. I was expecting Zekken to counter ult immediately to stop them taking that space, but he doesn't. He tucks, baits the team, as you said. Jorg just didn't clear it at all. But then the rest of Sen didn't think about Jorg continuing to push. They know that Jorg is on site somewhere, and yet these Sen players rotating, Zelsis and TenZ, just assume he's going to be sat on site somewhere. No, he's a maniac. He's got 20 kills. He's going to be pushing you.
He's fighting that tempo with tempo. Takes a lot to catch Sentinels off guard. Some of these players, this kind of pace. TenZ still with this operator though. He's got that B angle locked. Fully down with the crosshair. Cam though and Cage will push him away.
And TenZ is just assuming that Apop didn't see him there, because the cam looked in the opposite direction first. Uses the shorty to break the cam. And Sen, yeah, minute and 5, commit the pit over towards C.
It's a good time for it.
I mean, they've got such great control around the map here. They've got 2 players in a pit on C, 2 players set up in a bait and switch setup on an A. B is really the only weakness, and TenZ is going to be looking to grab one and then fall off, and they can flood retake. So defensive setups looking nice here for Sen.
Prowler, nade, all combined in conjunction with one another, seeking see if they can clear out this pit. JongQT not going to be removed from it. Still holding his ground, but Celsius will go down. So that slight pocket, Jorgamo, the awareness off the bloody charts. TenZ, pot shot taken, and it's a freebie onto Nature, but they've got that power down into the post. Nade. The C is also missing, trying to take this in a rapid fashion. Sentinels not really slowing down that pace at all. Trying to take it with a tempo, but a slight pause is all it takes to overstay and overstep themselves. For EG trying to take this one. Derek, last one left, 1v2. Sassy, safety in numbers, at least onto the defuse, and he's sticking it all the way with a smoke in his face. Gets off it, but he's brought himself that win con. Haunt, not going to trigger in time. It's a full defusal.
Both of those players are so cool in the clutch there, Sassy and Derek, playing with each other's expectations. I thought Sen had made the misstep when Celsius rotated away from the pit. And Jorg, again, with such excellent awareness of what's going on. Huge amounts of spam into the pit, pushes John into a tiny corner, and Jorg's like, yeah, I know exactly where you are. Jorgamo has twice as many kills as the next highest player, and Apoth is still having a really good game. This is monstrous. This is
ridiculous.
This is actually... I hesitate to say it, but it feels like more impact than Aspas was having against them when he set a record.
Don't start.
Like 23 kills in 12
being
rounds?
broken again. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
The KPR's off the charts.
It's insanity. But one final round here to convert. Sen are going to be fighting with everything to see if they can get it on their side of things. 8-4, recoverable, arguably.
Yeah.
Prowler through Apoth. Might be taking some bullets through the box if he's not careful. Hello, EG.
Attacker spawn.
They're the ones who are going to be fighting right back into them. 2 players dropping now from Sentinels. On the defense side, map this big, going to be lacking now a lot of that information. Bit of a scramble, wondering where EG could land.
In that fight, it's another situation where Apoth's duel is the one that matters. Zekken gets traded out, and there's a player there, you know, TenZ versus Apoth. Apoth wins again. Today is just so good for Apoth and Jorg.
Their time, John. He's just way out there, man. Way out there, but yeah, Apoth
30 seconds
fully
left.
deals with him. Another ult, by the way, for Jorgamo. I believe that's what, the fourth one?
The fourth
one in the half, using it to just clear out the site. So peace of mind granted for EG with a plant on top of it. And what a post plant it is to be playing into this spot. Nightfall. Not going to be getting too many trails and connections from that one. Jorgamo though needs to rely on the rest of his team. The sensors are cut away. It's all going to be reaction times in his sights. Dropping down, he can't actually tell how these players are really assailing his position, but they do eventually remove him. 2 stand against the 3 of EG, still into it with the smoke dropped across. They do cut out that triangle. 7 minutes left. Reload. Forwards not covering. It's all mistimed, but EG secures them that 9.
Oh, they both walked into the smoke while reloading.
Switching sides.
Brutal situation. But it sees EG continue this dominant half that they've had. 9-3, sure, the attack's on the Lotus, but the manner in which it was done. Jorgamo with 23. Apoth with 1 kill per round over. It's just been astoundingly good from EG.
Yeah, on an individual basis. I mean, it's led them to this 9-3 half against Sentinels. Madrid finalists and winners. Let's send it down to the desk to break it all down so far.
Well, you know, I don't think anyone had this one on their bingo cards coming into the Lotus game, but EG up 9-3, and we got to talk about the man who used to be a mustachio menace. No longer. He's just a clean-shaven menace. Jorgamo is absolutely lighting up the server ender.
Yo, the stash might be gone, but the beast is back, baby. He is out in force. I mean, he was so good in so many of these rounds, fighting forward with the team. Really good calling around him on this EG team.
The thing is that EG EG's macro has been good on this map. They have a lot of nice ideas about how they play around Apoth's cages to scale into sites like B in the mid-round to condition these lurks, but now they're converting on it. The biggest difference I'm seeing is how proactive this team is, even when they're getting an advantage. Jaw is breaking timing, satcheling into spawn, pushing advantages, and really surprising Sentinels round after round, and that confidence has been missing for
What
so
is
damn
that
long.
number?
Up until this game, Jaw across the year was cumulatively -45. This game, 542 ACS in the first half. It's a complete 180.
Absolutely nuts. You love to see it if you're an EG fan, if you're a Jawgamo fan, most importantly, because this is the type of player that we knew has that kind of fragging potential.
Yes.
That's not a shocker.
No.
What is a shocker is that it wasn't happening at the beginning of the season.
Exactly. Now we've seen him be woke up, right? And that's great news for this EG team. But this is the caveat. It has still not been perfect. That was still an attacking half. Sentinels are not out of this just yet, and EG will have to close cleanly to make this a win.
Sen won 3 clutches in the late rounds on that first half to make this a winnable one. That's all 3 of their rounds coming down to heroics, but that puts them in a winnable position. They win this pistol, and EG's not out of the woods yet.
This is a massive half here for a very game evil geniuses. Can Sentinels manage to fight their way back into it? Let's send it back over to our casters.
That's a question, isn't it? I mean, Ender set this up quite nicely. It is the attack side of Lotus that Sentinels are going to be playing on. It's going to be the favored side for this map, but it has to start with a pistol around here. And when Jawgamo's putting up numbers that looks like you've snuck a Radiant into an Iron lobby, I mean, it's difficult. If he keeps this up, this prowess, this firepower, I mean, what a hell of a task for Sentinels.
It does seem almost silly to say it's got to start with the pistol, but actually, the attack side of Lotus is so momentum-based with the ults that I think you literally need the pistol to even begin the process of that snowball. It's not like you can drop the pistol and then come back from 11-3. It's way tougher. They've broken the trip, looking to try to pressure C, and EG are not home.
Not home at all. No one hard anchoring, of course, so will be that retake.
Yeah, they have Paranoia and Seize Nade. The Seize Nade's ready to go.
Hello, there it is, Snakebite and a nade. That actually does all the work. On top of that, I believe there's a Seize as well. Yeah. It's going to collapse the spike out into the open. Fight needs to be taken out. Forward, Jawgamo again. Leading the charge for his team. The nade rebounds, but Sentinels this time. Pistols. Rated supreme for them. And so the first difficulty overcome.
And it did look difficult. Because even though EG won there, that Seize Nade was wonderful.
Yeah.
Predicting the new meta plant spot on the stairs. And yet Sen able to group up and deal with that. Kind of put the onus on EG to push through these difficult crossfires. And Sen have stepped up. Man, I really do wish we had the coach interviews at the half sometimes too. Because Kaplan went in, you know, if you remember, when they had another really one-sided Lotus game previously, it was like, we just didn't, we were, what did he say? We were asleep for one of the halves or something?
Sleep, a disappointment.
Yeah, he was very stern about them. And in terms of their mentality, we have seen Sen bring things back from this kind of point before.
Got that experience, EG. Get ahead of themselves, at least Jawgamo was.
Yeah,
His team
wants to
follow
force it. When you have a hot hand like that, you want to feed it, but you also don't want to feed. And so on defense especially, it can tempt you into taking fights that are not set up very well.
So they're all going to be toppling here. They just don't quite have the guns for the job. As I say that. Okay, jumping right click, doing work.
It's actually, I think it's better for Sen if Zekan ends up getting this kill anyway.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to happen.
We saw how important those showstoppers were just to get that momentum going for EG on their own attack side. And if you've watched Lotus at all, you know it. Just to be the case in general, it's a very snowbally map off the back of the ultimate. So second now 2 away.
And this is where, when the sides were flipped around, we saw EG go for a set play towards B. They didn't play for ult orbs and try to make sure they had a showstopper online, because that just takes too long. It's a bit too difficult. Instead, they went for a set execute.
Nice, boys. Get this Spectre. Good job, boys. Good job.
So they're making sure their economy's in a good spot. What does Sen have to show us? Are they going to pull one out of the strat book?
The vibes overall pretty good as well, just from the sneak peek of the comments from Zelsis.
The thing is, they have to be. Like, Sen have been in these kind of difficult positions before. They know they can win.
Oh, Zekin just being sent flying straight into the fray, but you're right, they have been in these spots before. They know they can win. Trip.
I think that should make it obvious as well. There's people ready to spam the normal plant spot.
Tap, yeah. So they're trying to bait it out. It's actually a season close instead. Tucking around the corner, you can avoid most of the damage that's coming your way. Saxy now going for the plant and going to be committing this one still. He will fall. Just for the wall. That's a wall bang angle.
That's a bit of it's a ridiculous one too, because Sassy was not planting in the normal spot. He was trying to plant as safe as he could. Still got punished.
Door rotating. Zapov seeking to apply that pressure now. While the rest of his team goes for this retake, but a lot of angles to clear, a lot of fights to take and win out. Sentinels. But a bonus round right now, it's a good beginning. Jump popped off. Rocket committed. Sentinels though on top.
Jorg popped ult in the middle of that to try to make sure they could win the anti-bonus. That's 1-0, 1 back. Take a look at this in the replay. What is that?
Okay, I mean...
What is that?
Okay.
That's ludicrous. But TenZ is the difference maker here. With Shorty in hand and then getting value out of the Spectre, playing inside his own smoke. But yeah, we didn't catch it in the replay either. But there's no showstopper available here for EG. This is going to start a big ult snowball to get Sen back into the game.
It's massive. They've already got the lockdown available to them now. Again, still 2 away.
You can't give this team openings.
You can't.
Nobody's going to remember, oh yeah, EG had an amazing attack half if they end up losing the map anyway.
Sentinels still firmly believing that they can win this one. Everybody making their way out through tree. Sliding in through the back of the side here. Looks like EG are looking to try and take a fight out towards Rubble. Zachshaw's movement. Jogo just getting caught all over the place, and Sentinel so fast to receive it.
Very good play by the rest of Sen, adapting to what EG were doing.
That's rapid.
What a great round, honestly. That's an eco for EG, where they've got the idea. They know exactly where Zelsis is going to position himself in that post plant. They know that there's always one player towards Rubble for Sen, and they throw a snakebite seize nade, but Jorg kind of bails out of the movement halfway through. You might see this in the replay. But yeah, the whole of Sen then responds to that by opening the door. I love the game plan from both teams.
Nice, boys! Let's go. Hey, my squad's with me, boys! Let's go!
Oh, the Vibes merchant, he is dishing it out.
Yeah, and it's all smiles on the face of Sentinels right now, because yes, they're down 2 rounds, but it's only 2 rounds. It was a 9-3 half.
Yeah.
They've won 4 in a row, and now they have the lockdown. They are 1 away from a showstopper, 1 away from Nightfall. They're in... It sounds bonkers, but they're in the driving seat now.
Yeah.
They're actually, like, favored to not just tie this up, but probably start building their own economy, start knocking EGs. It can swing in a moment, this game.
It's the case of Lotus as a map as well, but EG, it's so important they don't let this one slip. Advantages have been getting away from them in the rounds themselves, you know, losing those 5v4s, 5v3s. Was it 42% of 5v4s against crew? But this is a different scenario. This is where you have the lead, and you just can't let it slip down to the next half.
Yeah. It would have made an enormous difference for this round, which is an eco swing round for EG, where ults are getting online. It would have made such a difference for Jorg to still have that showstopper that he committed in round 15. EG are going to have to dig so deep. They've got to find the win from somewhere. Maybe that comes by forcing fights before Sen can get in position to use ult. They're going to fight for mound control at the beginning, while Sen path towards B.
Door opens up.
As soon as the door opens, though, you now know exactly what EG are playing for. You know that there's 2, maybe 3 players in mound. So Sen are going to try to clear that out.
I do have protocols in mind. Look at this, already holding for that util. But the space is going to be, at least it looked like it was going to be given up. No, it's a deep smoke that's dropped down. Prowler onto the left. Zekin out of the right still. At least with the snake bite, that will collect the kill at the end.
Yeah, honestly, you'll take that. I mean, Zekin should be favored to clean up Superman anyway. But you've opened up a path now for Zelsis to use his lockdown.
Jorgen was going to go for it.
Well, Jorg has nade too that he could use to deny lockdown if it's committed towards C. And to be honest, Zelsis is not even getting close. They don't like the look of this.
No, they don't. Maybe a bit of a false read of things though, but we'll see what direction Sentinels end up going into. A side still being locked down. There's a massive gap towards the middle of the map here, which is B. It feels like the right read is now online here for Sentinels.
Yeah, the common positions for lockdown are in this corner or in this corner. And you might well see Zelsis just commit it. It's much more difficult to have Jorg break it in that spot. Zelsis could also save it for post-plant, but once they hit the trip, I think this is going to be obvious.
There it is. Sees. Hold down close here from Derek, but nades are going to be rebounding into them anyway. Locked forwards now. Sassy feeling like he has to commit that one with the Nightfall. He's getting a couple of tags, so he gets that acknowledgement and the information plan into the post.
And all of these players, with the audio denied, are not going to anticipate TenZ sneaking around behind them.
Fast flank all the way through here, but a fight might just be one onto the site anyway. Crossfires all the way. TenZ from the back. Hitting hard at EG here with only 2 left to stand. Pick up those pieces. Has to be a save surely at this point.
And the crowd realize it. The Gia's coming through. EG have not won a round since the side swapped. Oh, the alarm bot's just giving away where they're playing.
Do fend off the first one, though, looking to take away those weapons. TenZ, of course, are going to try and go for it. Never shut down. They keep these guns. It is necessary.
So that's going to provide a bit of a buffer there for EG to work with. But it's still difficult for them. That's 5 rounds in a row. And now Sen still have Showstopper to work with. Second died early, didn't get a chance to use his ult, but now he has it for the next.
Feeling crispy, you know what I mean?
Joel, take my gun.
You hit out at the end. Joel, take my gun.
Yeah.
Empowering the player that's at the top of the scoreboard.
But 500 and whatever it was ACS in the first half. I mean, maybe remove a decimal point or something for this half. They haven't found the opportunities for Jorg or Apoth to have that level of value.
Yeah, and it's much more difficult when you're on the defensive side. You're reacting a lot more. That's what the attack side's ended up doing. Can't play as fluidly. Sentinel's getting a bit of a read here that the A rubble fight, not even necessary. They can just contact all the way up and it's going to be easy ground game. Out of rocket. Oh no, a bit of a misstep. Superman, he's missing the rope there and still gets away with it.
Yeah, whistled past Superman's ear.
Dominating this heaven smoke though. Will actually fade now with the nade. Rebounding back and away. Sees forwards. A fight to be taken by EG up close with the Stingers. Anybody could have been favored. Second who wins it out. Still holding down that ground. EG looking to try and flip their way through this one, but again, the back positions here. It's this bait and switch setup. The Sentinels, they're just so willing to just, okay, we'll give you a bit of that space. Now we're playing a crossfire setup and the doors are rotating. Too many angles to really watch for. Has to be raw firepower to sails them through it. But is it even possible for them? Apoth is making a bloody good go of it. It's just one player. What can you do against that? 9-9. Sentinels have brought this all the way back.
These rounds have been such blowouts, and Sen have managed this avalanche so well that EG, they haven't even had their first ults online for the half. Jorg, we talked about in round 15 using his. The other players are only just now getting, you know, Nightfall, Viper's Pit online. They're still one away.
Yeah.
And Derek and Nature still don't have access to these huge tide-shifting ults to be able to play with. And here we go, into the round instantly. Sen looking to whack up the tempo.
Yeah. Quickening of the round right at the beginning here. See a lot of util being expended just to try and shake the position and put these attacking players out. Sentinels, though, will be pushed back and away from it, so they're still going to get that plant down in through B, through heaven, and even the pit just lay it out on top. How do you deal with this if you're EG? It's got to be perfect. 2 players out through Hobbit. Prowler, connection there onto Zek, and a few bullets stray. Going into him to deal a little bit of damage, but Jorgmo dealt with. It's your spearhead gone and out. Derek spraying and praying all about the Nature. No chance for it.
Bren, the only hope here for EG to right the ship is that Sen used ults now and have finally hit close to the end of their bank. But otherwise, Sen are wiping them away every single round. There's a game-turning advantage in their favor.
Yeah.
This time it's John's Pit that just makes the retake so much more difficult. And they don't anticipate the pace of the B. exec. But the problem is the alt economy works in tandem with the financial economy, and EG are currently experiencing a 2008 housing crisis.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good.
They're stuck.
It's not looking good.
They have ults to work with, but now they don't want to invest them necessarily unless they start to get advantages because, you know, Sen have got such better weaponry, and if Zekken can use that gun advantage to build up to a showstopper, this is how Lotus attack side snowballs away from you.
It gets out of hand. Maybe beginnings of potentially a round on the board here for EG on this defensive half with the Viper's pit down.
Yeah, and
should push Sen naturally over towards B, A.
Yeah, I think EG have been very good at coming up with ideas on their ecos of putting pressure. Normally, they're allowing Sen into A and then trying to squeeze them rubble on the retake. We've seen that twice now on EG's ecos. Similar pattern, perhaps?
Cool, calm, and collected. Sentinels unwilling to really rush into much at all here. Nightfall is even being committed. That's Derek. Losing it here. Doesn't get any tags at all. Might be giving a bit of false information, but now time to strike here for Sen. They're going to be using one of their own. Ults committed.
There's only 25 seconds.
Which way are they going into here? Pivot into B. Doubled up close. Corners into the action. It doesn't matter. Taking rifles against the Stingers or whatever weaponry that EG might have. They just barrel over them.
EG, we're not ready for that. And they've just used...
10 seconds left.
Brent, they've just used all their ultimates.
I mean, it's everything, right?
On an eco round. And it's looking Jova. Zekken one away from his showstopper. They now have access to that to be able to work with in the next. Like, Senna's so good at being able to understand the wider picture. I'm not even talking the macro of like where people are positioned, but the idea that you can snowball games in this kind of way. 9-3 down, they've just looked like it doesn't matter. They could win every single round in this half.
They've never had any of that hesitation at the back of their minds. Like, you can just tell. I mean, you look at the replays, the reactions as soon as the round ends from the Sen players. I mean, the body language says it all.
Yeah.
Locked in, ready to win. They know what it takes. It's one round at a time, one step at a time. So far, they've done it. 2-round differential now between these two teams when they were down 6 against EG.
And here, Sen had 25 seconds to hit the A site. Paranoia had denied them from taking tree control, and 2 players with close range weapons were in Hobbit, and they weren't able to get a kill out of that. Apoth and Derek just folded.
Yeah.
You hope for more when you're in that spot. That's what your eco round is designed to funnel the players with better guns through tiny choke points where you have the advantage, and they just couldn't capitalize. How many did Jorg have at the half? 23?
Something like that. In the 20s, and since then it's just been a slip essentially from the initial few rounds.
Yeah, but it's not like, you know, he's not playing with a blindfold on. He just can't find opportunities to make the impact, and he's always up against an advantage for Sen. Here comes Zekken's showstopper.
Oh, we'll put that one back online with the auto orb. Zekken now probably going to be using this one to clear out through the side. Yeah, here it is. Offloaded. Let it rip. 1 target. 1 kill. It's a matter about a high ground position here. Jorg wants to go fast and rapid into his approach. Right into the back section. Drops into pit. I mean, Sassy just deals with him. Superman, what is going on there? Intruder in the midst. It's up to 12 now for Sentinels, and 1 more round will do it. A resounding comeback.
And honestly, EG are going to be kicking themselves because this could have been such a different game if literally just the round 13 had gone the other way.
The pistol round.
Yeah.
Right?
And EG,
see it on their faces.
Yeah, Potter can tell as well. All of that hype and adrenaline at the fact that you're beating the Madrid winners. The crash afterwards can be worse than the high.
It will be coming. 1 more round stands between Sentinels claiming their map pick. Jorgmo finally ult online.
I think this is the first time we've seen somewhat similar rifles and an ult advantage for EG.
But here it is. Second must just lead the charge forwards. Apoth, the stalwart protector of the site, and the vulnerability matters not for John QT. Still towards it. TenZ with a trade rocket. Just catch him around the corner. Not too sure how that ends up happening, but the kills are flooding in this time in EG's direction. is right in the nick of time. Sassy, though, might be trying to play spoiler 1v3, make it 1v2.
If a single bullet had hit Superman, this would have been a 1v1.
45 seconds left.
He's got so much time.
We know how smart Sassy can be in these particular spots.
Honestly, your instincts here are screaming go back to C. Because that's where all of the action was earlier. You know, all three of them left C to pass
30
through
seconds
B.
left.
You know, in their heads, they'll be thinking, continue that momentum, head in the A direction. Sassy's going to get a free plant here. I think he's played it beautifully.
He has. Free plant with Superman on 5 HP just could be the death blow.
They are so far away. Sassy, whether he knows it or not, has got a good chance here of repositioning to catch one.
They have to walk because they don't know where Sassy's positioning is. And it all comes down to this. A fight to be taken. First one found. Where's the next? Derek shuts it down.
Good trade from Derek. Very safe play from EG. Bunching up together. Yeah, they gave Sassy a lot of room. But when it came down to it,
Team Ace.
the Brazilian just could not quite pick apart EG's players. So 12-10. Like I said at the beginning of round 22, I think that was the first time we've seen somewhat comparable rifles and an ult advantage for EG. Now there's no ults anywhere.
Nice edge.
movement, man. Yep. Right there. Yep.
Nice edge. But EG still in it.
3 Guardians, though, for EG. They are going to have to hit such clean shots.
Here. Positioning of Superman. High ground off angle. Because you have to be worried about. Smokes flying. Satchels forwards. Nothing to break the Haunt as well. So Superman marked up. We'll have to at least respect that one with the Haunt. On the opposite side of things, that was 3 tags onto the players of Sentinels, so they know that there's a heavy committal over towards A Rebel.
And in rounds like this, the IGLing does get a little more complicated for the attack side at least, because Kaplan previously has just been able to call around, messing with the pace and playing around the ults that he had to work with. So now he's got to really figure out what this defensive setup looks like, see if he can crack it. Ideally for Sentinels, they want the game to end right here. The more that EG win, the better their rifling is going to get. Look at that trip, designed to try to catch second if he double blast packs in. He loves pathing on top of the box.
No more satchels left. And they made the play towards it. Instead of just running about as a marathon sprint across the map.
Yeah, Zelsis, I don't think has heard rotations going to C, but they've got the right macro idea here.
A deep Haunt into C Mound, that does send EG
30
scattering.
seconds left.
Players now realizing that it's most likely leaning over towards A. Wants to play. Pivot into B. Have B main control. Zelsis has been holding on to this one now, so it should be that free plan. I don't think
there are 3
EG
players
have
in
anything
heaven
to stop it. They could attempt to flood this one out. Sees nade, pushes them back. Sassy around the corner. He's got the spike. He's the one with the plant, and it needs to go online now. Defending the angles on the crossfire section. Sentinels, they do eventually defend him and get themselves into this spot. And it comes down now to the kills. Jorgo. First one found. Apop with the door. Opens wide. Smoke in their faces. How do you take the fight? All through heaven. Which direction? TB's back into main and he's just crossed it up entirely. TenZ, 3v3. And the kills with the smokes in their face. Sticking for Derek, but it's over like that. Blink of an eye. Sentinels take it away. Map number 1.
Call it an unthinkable comeback, but we've seen it before. This squad is capable of it. If you've got a chance to put them away, you've got to do it early, because the more you give them chances to come back, they are just going to run away with the game. Sen were down 9-3 at the half, and you wouldn't have believed it looking at their attack side on Lotus. They were completely in control.
Brought it all the way back. What's that difference make? That having that experience, I think, adds for you. Team that went all the way. Madrid won it all.
They've just got all the confidence in the world that they can come back into games like this. And compared to some of the other teams that were... This week, we've seen a lot of teams go down early and then...
One-sided maps, one-sided matches.
They crumble.
They crumble. They don't believe that they can win.
Even
the
when
confidence
the
gets
swap,
lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with the side swapping, in theory, that is just straight up new strategies, new opportunities to win.
Yeah.
And yet, there are very few teams that believe in themselves like Sen.
Oh, we're going to be stepping away. Up next, GB and the Alistair, breaking it all down for map number 1. Do not go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
Excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of us?
Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
Ooh, yes, problem. You need Verizon. Trade in that old thing and get a new iPhone 15 Pro with tons of storage, so you can take all the pics. So many selfies.
A preposterous amount of panos!
That means panoramic. And as many portraits of me as your heart desires.
How about none?
None, yeah, none feels right.
Trade in any iPhone in any condition and get iPhone 15 Pro on us. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Forever, I burned your letters, and I'm just forgetting about you. I'm just forgetting about you.